I was amazed at Srila Prabhupada's being able to transcend his bodily condition. For example, I was there when, right near the end, and the Kaviraj, who they had flown up from Calcutta, one of the best. Prabhupada had a dream about this Kaviraj. And he was a really excellent Kaviraj. You could see he was dhira, he was a sober practitioner, very Brahminical like that, and very, very reverential to Prabhupada. And he was from the Sri Sampradaya, big white and red tilak. And one day he told, I got this second hand from perhaps Harisori, but he said, you know, I had doubt that your Guru Maharaj was actually a Paramahams saint. But he said, I have assisted, thousands of people dying. And usually in this condition, when there's no more muscle and fat to cushion the nerves from being pressed against the bone, he said, people are in such agony that I have to administer morphine. And he says, your Guru Maharaj never manifests the slightest expression of pain. And I saw this, for example, in around April or so, March, April in Bombay. Srila Prabhupada's tooth had his whole jaw swell up. And like when we get toothache, we can't tolerate it. But Prabhupada just tolerated it. You never saw any difference in his mannerisms, in his way of dealing with anyone, or never complained. In fact, when the devotees, I remember that, him trying to induce him that to take care of his body, and Prabhupada wasn't agreeable. It's totally transcendental of being his body. So right up to the end like that, was very, very evident that Srila Prabhupada was a successful Ashtanga yogi, for me at least, that he had totally transcended his bodily conception. And he was a true living saint. Another very great saint that I had the great fortune to meet was Devraha Baba. And this was in 1978. We went with the Gurukul boys. The Samadhi planning office was on the ground floor of the Gurukul building in Vrindavan. So I came close with Yashodananda Swami. We went for the Magh Mela in Allahabad. And Devraha Baba was always there. And he was so famous, he's like 800 years old, that his house is on stilts. So when we went with the Gurukul kids, he came down. He never comes down because everyone tries to touch his feet. But he came down and he glorified Srila Prabhupada in Sanskrit or whatever for almost 10 minutes. Shaktavesh Avatar, this and that. And he had all his disciples called. And he was so old, he was just holding a skin in front of himself. And he was so old that even his eyebrows were dreadlocked and hanging down on the other side, like this. And he called some of his other disciples who were also, I would say, into the 200, 300, 400 years old. But it was very significant how nicely he had, this greatest, most respected saint of India, had so wonderfully glorified Srila Prabhupada.